Felix Auger-Aliassime.
Bianca Andreescu is a US Open champion. Shapovalov with the moment.
Leila Fernandez. It is another performance to remember for the Canadians.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of North of the Net, a Canadian tennis show by The Slice Tennis. Brendan McCarthy with you alongside Stephen Bowden and Karina Mustafa. And guys, another thrilling ending in Miami. We have a new world number one on the WTA rankings, Iga Swiatek. And on the men's side, it's the Spaniard, not Rafa Nadal, Carlos Alcaraz. He's 18 years of age and he's just dominating 2022. Certainly a thrilling way for him to continue his time on the courts. What did you guys take away in particular from Miami?
Yeah, Miami was crazy. The last 2 years, it's been a big showcase of the next gen with Djokovic and Nadal not there. And honestly, when the announcer said the first Spanish player to win the Miami Open, I thought he had made a mistake, but I realized Nadal's never won it. And that's one of the only ones he hasn't won. And yeah, Carlos Alcaraz, absolutely amazing. Big stud. I said he's the most exciting player in tennis currently, and I stand by that. So it was a great tournament.
Yeah, I think Iga was coming for that number one title for a while now. She's more than deserving of it, as we saw. I think her and Carlos are kind of on that level where at this point you can kind of maybe consider them in like the big three of whatever you want to consider in the top players of tennis. And so I think that's super exciting to have such successful players at this young of an age. Speaking of successful players at a young age, unfortunately, our Canadians didn't do as well as at the Miami Open as we had so boldly predicted on this show.
Yeah, Brendan, I think we got to give you a moment here to just, try and save some face.
Yes. So if you didn't listen to our last episode, I did say that all three, Leila, Felix, and Chapo, would hit quarterfinals or better. And if they didn't, I would owe each of my co-hosts here a sleeve of tennis balls. So to be determined. I know Steven's in Europe, so that might be a little tricky, but Karina's a little closer to me. So I will get you that.
FedEx works. It's all good. No, I'm just kidding. I appreciate you backing the Canadians, and honestly, I agreed with you. I had very high hopes as well. And yes, that's a total strikeout tournament for Canada. Not great, but on to clay, and that'll be hopefully better, right, Karina?
Yes, exactly. We are moving on to clay. We are putting the hard court season behind us. This is honestly my favorite part of the year. I love clay season. I think Roland Garros may be maybe my favorite Grand Slam. I don't know. It's kind of hard to compete with the Australian Open, but we are in a really good part of the year. Let's do kind of a preview of Chapo, Felix, and Leila. Hopefully things go a little bit better for them this time. I think out of these three, I might be putting most of my confidence into Leila just because we know she's had success on clay before. Like she won the French Open in juniors. And so she seems very, very comfortable on the surface. What do you guys think about Leila's chances?
Leila's chances, I think, are great. I think she's, like you said, she's had success on clay prior. She's also just an amazing top 25, top 20 player in the WTA. And we know her skills. And for some reason, it's probably a Rafa Nadal bias, but I just feel like lefties do better on clay. That's definitely a Rafa Nadal bias, isn't it? But yeah, I don't know.
I was going to use that same reasoning for Chapo. So
fair enough. But Leila's she's got the lefty forehand, but she can add spin to it super well. And really clay, obviously that gets accentuated on clay, so she can pull opponents off the court. So I see no reason she can't have a great, successful clay swing.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting too with Shapovalov. He's kind of been blunt in how he thinks of clay and how he performs on clay. He just flat out says I don't really like it, I don't prefer it. But he's been able to adjust mechanics, especially with his forehand. And I think he has a 55% record on clay, which is a little bit better than his buddy Felix. So I'm looking forward to a big turnaround here, a clean slate. And maybe a new surface will be good for these three just to kind of get back on the right track here and put those early exits on the Miami Open court to rest.
Yeah.
I mean,
go ahead, Karina. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say Chapo's record on clay last year, he did pretty well, even though he's been pretty blunt about how he feels about clay. He lost to Nadal in Rome in round 3. He made the Geneva final where he lost to Casper Ruud. He's had really consistent records on clay, and like you said, he he has done better than Felix. So I feel like I'm still feeling pretty confident about him to bounce back, even though like the Canadians have kind of cooled off now, but with a new surface comes a new energy, a new type of play. And so that's kind of what I'm expecting.
Yeah, I totally agree, Karina. I think, yeah, like Chapo, if you remember, I don't know if you watched this match, but I think he had match points against Rafa in Rome, or was that Madrid? I forget. Was that Rome? They played. Anyways, it was the third round, and he arguably, should have won that match. So he's got confidence. He's such a good athlete. So I think that translates really well to clay, no matter what. So yeah, I got high hopes for all three of them. Felix is actually about to win his first round match in Marrakesh in Morocco right now. So that's a good start, and barring a crazy turnaround. So yeah, I got hope for all three of our top Canadians, including Bianca Andreescu. More to come on that.
Yes, as for the fourth young Canadian, Bianca Andreescu, the 2019 U.S. Open champ, she is currently practicing at Rafa Nadal Academy as her anticipation of returning to the court continues to rise. And Stephen, you might have some even breaking news here regarding her return to a specific tournament.
Yeah, I don't know if it's
maybe
totally
not breaking. Sorry.
But no, it's breaking on Recent. the north of the net. That's facts.
Yeah.
Bianca is on the entry list for Madrid for the Masters 1000 or the WTA 1000 there. So it looks like that'll be the first time we see her back in competitive action since, I guess I forget when the last, was it Indian Wells October last year that we saw her play, or just the U.S. Open? I'm not sure. I actually forget her last tournament, but that's going to be good to see because we got Chapo, Felix, and Layla now, and that's enough for us Canadians to have. We can't be greedy, but we forget that Bianca is really the first one of that bunch that had obviously serious success winning the U.S. Open. Still doesn't even make sense. She's been out. She's been doing random stuff. Karina, I don't know how to get a read on it. It's obviously good if you're finding yourself. She's been releasing a book. She's been going on spiritual retreats to Costa Rica, somewhere else. Somewhere down there. Seems like she's doing everything but playing tennis. And I'm not sure if she's injured. I don't know. So I'm not upset about it. I just want to know. We kind of just want to know what's going on. So hopefully we'll get her on the show here soon. But I don't know. I'm stoked for her to come back.
I think so. I saw all of her posts about traveling the world and all of that and doing all that spiritual stuff, which I think is probably really good for her. I mean, she's struggled so much with injuries and that inconsistency where it was not always in her control. And I think that's something that's probably really hard to deal with as an athlete. So I am super excited for her to come back. I saw that she was training. She was getting back into, I think she was training on green clay, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. And so now that she's on the list to play on a clay court, I'm super excited. I think what we've forgotten about her game is how she adapts to her opponents in game, which is a really rare quality that not a lot of players have. It's that thing that you need to go from good to great. And so I'm going to be greedy. I know you said that, Chapo, Felix, and Layla is enough, but give me Bianca.
I like it. That's fair. We've already had her. We can't let her go. It's just, it's insane to me how young these players are. I was just thinking, I'm 27. I like to think that I'm kind of young, but we could literally watch all four of these players play for the next 10 years. There's, they could easily still be playing, and we could just have the next decade of Canadian tennis. Is it the decade of Canadian tennis? Is that what we should call it in the international tennis stage?
I think it absolutely is. And not to go fully heavy on stats for Bianca, but out of the core four, in Layla, Felix, Chapo, and Bianca, she has, I think, the best record on clay in her career. She's 5-1, which is 83%. So very, very, very strong. And for her as well, she has dealt with numerous injuries. Obviously, back in December, she took a break to focus on her mental health. But as you alluded to earlier, Karina, she is really strong at getting right back into it and not really missing a beat. So I think for her to make her return on clay and be able to kind of go into a match as if she just played last week. That's how I like her when I watch her. And she always comes in with obviously tremendous poise, and she's one of the best backcourt players in the WTA. So it's going to be a really exciting time to see her return to the court, and no better time to do so than on clay.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited for her. I know a bunch of Canadians are excited to see her, and it's okay if we're a little greedy. because there's a lot of Canadian tennis action going on right now. And there's actually some Canadian tennis action going on in like 10 days from now, I want to say. The Billie Jean King Cup qualifiers are taking place in Vancouver. Team Canada is facing Team Latvia. We have a pretty good set of players stacked up to play. We have Leylah Fernandez, we have Gabby Dabrowski, Rebecca Marino, Françoise Banda, Kale Zhao. Like all of these, this is a really pretty good Canadian team, even though we don't have, Bianca there, obviously not with everything going on. But to go against Team Latvia, whose biggest name right now is Ostapenko, I think our chances are pretty good, guys. What do you think?
Yep. Great chances in Vancouver. I love it. All these players have played in Vancouver, probably at the Van Open Challenger before. So obviously traveling to Latvia or from Latvia is a lot bigger than, they're going to feel at home. And yeah, like you said, star-studded team. They don't have Bianca, but that's okay because we got Leylah. She's like, our number one female player right now. And then the other girls that you mentioned are great. Marino's been having a great comeback in the second kind of half of her career. Françoise Banda is a great young player. Carol Zhao's a great young player. And that's a great stage for them to be able to step up. And, maybe I'm not exactly sure. I know they do 4 singles and 1 doubles match. I think it's just best out of 5 for the qualies there. But yeah, international experience for the players, always a good thing. And Canada, super strong in the international stage. Maybe they can take some mojo from the ATP Cup win that the boys had at the beginning of this year. I don't know, but I like our chances.
And they're pretty,
so the way that
I was going to say they're pretty similar in rank too. I believe Canada's collectively ranked 10th and Latvia's 12th. So it should be a pretty competitive contest between the two nations. Sorry, Karina.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, so this is how it works for anybody who doesn't know. They're going to be playing on April 15 and 16. There's going to be a total of 18 teams that are set to compete. These include Australia versus Slovakia, Italy, France, USA, Ukraine, a bunch of these countries who actually Poland versus Romania. I feel like I should mention that as the Romanian Canadian on this show. Shout out Romania. But so what's going to happen is that the 9 winners of these qualifiers ties are going to play at the 2022 finals, which are going to take place in November. So that's quite a bit of a while from now, but I think with the way that Canadian tennis is going and the team that we have, I'm feeling pretty confident in this tie.
And also too, Karina, I mean, another chance too for maybe Canadians in the mix who don't maybe get a lot of the spotlights in big tournaments or in slams, like Rebecca Marino or Gabriela Dabrowski, who's usually dominant on doubles action during tours and slams. But I mean, again, these are still like very competitive players, and they don't get a lot of the spotlight like a Leylah or Bianca, but an opportunity for them to showcase their skills on the international stage and see what they can bring and contribute to Canada.
You're right. And, I think about Françoise Banda too, who is one of those players where, she doesn't get that same stage as these guys. And so I think this is actually a really good opportunity for us to learn even more about Canadian tennis, because it's not just those like same 3 hard-hitting names.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. It's going to be a great event. And I'm sad that, everyone knows I'm from the West Coast of Canada. So literally it would be my backyard. But I've moved to Switzerland for the next 6 months, so missing it, but there will be more of those.
All right, let's get
look so sad.
Let's get to our best segment here, ace/fault of the week. Karina, do you want to kick us off?
Sure, I'll start with the fault of the week. I know a lot of us would like to talk about Nick Kyrgios and the umpire. We will talk about that. But honestly, I had the Canadians falling short at Miami as my fault of the week. I was just very, I don't know what the word is, upset, not disappointed. I don't know. It's like I always really want when like the top players in the ATP and the WTA are not at these tournaments. I'm like, okay, it's time for the Canadians to take a hold of it. And then they just fell, and I was super, super sad about it because I was getting a little bit cocky with their success at the beginning of this year. So yeah, they're my fault of the week, guys.
Yeah, that's a good fault of the week. Fair enough. My fault of the week is like crazy. Like, it is crazy. I don't even know this guy's name, but he was the number one tennis player at this tournament. I think it was in Ghana. It's a futures event. So if you don't know what the futures are, it's like ATP, WTA is the top level, and then goes challengers, and then it's futures, and there's like a range of different futures. So anyways, I'll let you just watch this because I do have the video here, and then I'll react. So that's the number one player in the blue, French player. I don't even know. Could have looked up his name so we could like publicly shame him. But he literally like Will Smith slapped. I don't know what is going on here, guys. It's like
savagery.
Literally Will Smith him.
Oh my God!
Why is this the first time I'm seeing this? That was just a raw reaction. I've never like that is. I can't believe that wasn't on like Twitter or Instagram. That's a good find for fault of the week. Jeez, that is very Will Smith-esque and very, very fitting.
I know. I was like, what's going on with everyone getting slapped? There's all the violence with the ATP players throwing their rackets and almost hitting people. And then this, it's like that's like next level. And then as the video actually keeps going, the guy who slapped him goes like this and like kind of like pretend like asks to like apologize. He's kind of like, oh, didn't mean to slap. Sorry, my hand slipped. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was a muscle reflex.
Sorry, and because he's obviously the guy that lost. I'm assuming that would be, I don't know. Anyway,
that would be pretty weird. Yeah,
I feel like that's something. I don't want to ramble on here, but I feel like that's something you can't really apologize for, can you? Like, I mean, Will Smith did, but it's not like when you do something you don't think you're gonna get caught. That's one thing. I kind of get that, but then like you're gonna get caught, like you're slapping another player. I don't know.
I was gonna say like sometimes if like two greats are going at it after a long like grueling 5-set thriller like Nadal and Federer, like one will kind of grab their head, but like out of comfort and like, wow, that was insane. We put on another good show, but that was a full-on slap. Like, that was not comfort slap. That was assault pretty much. So that was
crazy. Anyways, that's my fault of the week.
My fault of the week, Karina, you alluded to it earlier with Nick Kyrgios, another meltdown. I'm really getting sick of this guy. I was in his corner for a bit. He was one of my like top 5 players, but man, I think a lot of this is just ridiculous, and it's a lot of show. And he likes to just be the face of Twitter and top 10s for SportsCenter, I guess, for meltdowns, because it's really getting ridiculous. And I believe he was fined like $60K for his antics. And it was announced today the ATP is going to smack down harsher, stricter restrictions now on players who just have these random meltdowns and tantrums like Zverev did a couple weeks ago. And now with Kyrgios, I think it's getting ridiculous. He deserves a fault on this one. He deserves many faults because it seems to happen at every tournament. So he needs to cool it. It's getting out of hand.
I will say this. I think his actions were not okay at all. Like, I don't think like the yelling, the everything, the comments was bad. However, I understand why he got upset in the first place. Like when the umpires walkie-talkie went off during their point, and that his reaction was not warranted at all, for sure. But I think the umpire also escalated things when he started giving him a point penalty and then a game penalty, like it was a game penalty, and then he loses the first set, and then he goes into the next one down 1-0. He then goes immediately down a break, which when you're dealing with Nick Kyrgios, that's just going to rile him up even more. Like, you're not helping the situation, if that makes sense. Like, you're not helping the situation. You're not neutralizing him by doing that.
Right. No, very
you can't change the rules for one guy. Like I think Carlos Bernardes is like, they have a bit of a history, and I think this is why the ATP has come out with this statement, saying that like you just can't, like they've told the umpires to now be even more harsh and less lenient about stuff like this, because it's like, yeah, you're right, Karina, like you're totally right. Like, it's not how you get him to calm down, but that's kind of like negotiating. It's like we don't negotiate with terrorists, like not calling Nick Kyrgios a terrorist, but like you give an inch, like they take a mile, right? So like it's parenting 101. That's sadly what it seems like with the umpires and a guy like Nick Kyrgios. So it's like you can't just let him do his thing, because then who's running the thing? It's not fair to the opponent, right? So yeah, Carlos Bernardes was a hard ass. He could have been more lenient, but I think he's been playing that game for so long. I remember back in like 2008 having arguments with Rafa. Him and Rafa have a big history. So he's a vet out there, and he probably was just trying to put Nick in his place a little.
On a lighter note, aces of the week, Karina.
Yeah, so I'll talk about Carlos Alcaraz, but not just winning, specifically the sportsmanship that he's shown in his last couple of matches, especially the one against Hergatz, where the umpire called a double bounce, but he had actually gotten to the ball in time, and Carlos allowed him to replay the point. And then I think in the final that Carlos played, Casper Ruud allowed Carlos to have a first serve again when the ball, like there's something happened with the ball. It was like flat. And so he missed his first serve and they kind of redid the point. I love this side of tennis. I love this like humanity side, because even though they're opponents playing each other and they're trying to win, there's still that sportsmanship aspect that just makes a player so likable and reminds you, like, you know, you still have each other's backs no matter what. And I think that's such a heartwarming moment for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna go basically off that too. I'd say like my ace of the week was Carlos winning his tournament, or winning the Miami Open. Just the level that he's played at is so exciting. And I talked about this in a video already made on the Slice. Is just how, like, you just look at his game and there's just no really seeming weakness. There's no glaring weaknesses, that's for sure. There's places maybe he could improve, but it's such a well-rounded game. You're just like, this kid's 18. Like, what are the opportunities ahead of him? Like, where's the end of this? Like, you just don't know. So that's, I think, what makes it so exciting. So I'm stoked that he got to like get his, he got a ATP 500 actually earlier this year in South America, which is not as big because a lot of big players don't play there. But yeah, it's just a massive tournament for him, win for him. And yeah, I love that sportsmanship that you just talked about. Tennis is like, it has class. It is a classy sport. It's supposed to have that gentlemanly, womanly, gentle womanly vibe to it. And I feel like the men especially have really gotten away from that as of late. Like the Zverev disgusting thing with the umpire smacking it, and Nick is just, it's not that kind of culture, that the good side of tennis where it's, I think there's a lot of like sportsmanship. So I thought that was cool, Karina, and I agree big time on those aces.
My ace of the week has to be Denis Shapovalov witnessing greatness at Amalie Arena in Tampa, taking a breather from the courts and seeing Matthews pot number 54 tying a single season franchise goal record with Toronto. And you know what? Today's April 5th. They're playing a back-to-back in Sunrise, Florida. Maybe Shapo brings Felix and Austin Potts 6 tonight. Is that just ridiculous? Probably. But you know what? In this case, Shapo is Matthews' ace, because clearly a good luck charm.
That's fair enough. I think Shapo might have a hard time pulling Felix in from North Africa right now, but I don't know how much cash they got lying around for a private jet, but who knows? Anyways, guys, I'll just end off the show here with a great episode. I am filled, like you guys both probably are, with anticipation, excitement for the clay swing. Like Brendan's background, I think us Canadians can do really well on the dirt. It's not our natural surface here, as you know. Half the year, most of the year, you have to play indoors because in Canada it's like a frozen tundra. If you guys didn't know that watching, but I feel a lot of anticipation for the clay, and I feel like we can do well.
It's been a slice.
100%.
It's been an absolute slice. So yeah, if you guys are watching, leave a comment, leave your questions below, and we'll answer them on the next show right after our aces and faults of the week. But that's it from us here on The Slice. Brendan, Karina, thank you guys. Well done. And we will see you guys next time here on North of the Net.